All right, guys, with the recent inflation and everybody sort of up in arms about how much everything costs, decided to take a minute to look back and see how lucky, how fortunate I actually was to buy my house. Yeah, as crazy as that is. To many of you who are millennials or Gen Zs, things like that, you may or may not be able to relate to me because I may be 10 to 15 years older than you are. I am a geriatric millennial or a Generation Xer. Depends upon when you decide to call millennials millennials and Xers Xers, because I am at the very end of the Gen X, the very beginning of the millennial, somewhere around in there. So geriatric millennial is the term that I like to use. Sounds best. In any case, 2008, I'm 23 years old, I lose my job. I was working for Chevrolet at the time at a dealership working on cars. I lose my job and decide to go to nursing school, simply because at the time, that's all that was hiring. Go into nursing school, and on my way out of nursing school, me and my wife decided to start looking for houses. Seems like the next logical step to take, go ahead and start looking for houses. That way we can build a better life for ourselves, things like that. At this moment in time, I'm 28, 29 years old, somewhere around in there. This is about 2013-ish. In any case, we start looking at houses as I graduate nursing school, and the economy was still not the best. It was doing better than it was in 2008 when I lost my job, but it wasn't as good as it is or was right before COVID, and the housing market hadn't quite caught up. The mortgage values for percentages, whatever you call it, the APR percentage on your loan at the time was a record low, and we got locked in at 3.45%. This is something that does not exist anymore. It's 4.95, I believe, something like that. Very high rate. Fortunately, like I said, I'm about 10 to 15 years older than most people looking for houses at this moment in time, which is a huge benefit for me, a huge benefit. At the time, some loans required 20% down, some only required 5%, and very few required 2% down. We were fortunate enough to have a loan that only required 2% down, and we were approved for $170,000, which today's market wouldn't buy a whole lot. In our market, it bought quite a bit. The house that we bought, the house that we ended up buying, appraised low. What had happened was someone bought it in 08, 09-ish, when the economy tanked and the housing market did terrible. These people then decided to hold on to the house for an allotted time until the economy started doing better, and then they were going to flip it. So I got things like a new roof. I myself had to put in a new HVAC unit, so I didn't do it myself, but I had to pay for it. So I got a new roof, and I got new painted walls and new refrigerators and things like that, because these people decided they were going to flip a house, because all those flip this house shows were going on at the time. The one thing that they did not consider, which really benefited me, which actually really hurt them, is the house still has to appraise for the loan. At that time, no one had cash money. No one had cash money. As I said, the economy was doing better, but it wasn't great. And the economy was still locally not hitting on a lot. And so the house actually appraised for $120,000. For reference, I just looked it up on Zillow just the other day, and Zillow has my house at $280,000. More than double what I paid for it in less than 10 years. It's quite a substantial gap. In any case, back to the original story, the house appraised for $120,000, and no one had that money in cash. Everyone had to borrow $120,000 because the economy still wasn't the greatest. The flippers ended up taking a hit and sold us the house for $120,000, and we ended up with this beautiful house that we have here, and on 3/4 of an acre, and we're really not even too far outside of big cities that we like to visit. And this was phenomenal for me. And the one huge benefit that I have for me, and it's not even necessarily the fact that, baby boomers and things like that, they had other sort of benefits going for them. The one huge benefit that I had for me, or a couple of huge benefits I had for me, is I went to nursing school and I finished nursing school at the perfect time, because the economy still was not doing the best, but as a nurse, we sort of get paid more than the average person. We make more than the average salary. If you were to look up your average salary where you live and then look up how much a nurse makes where you live, the nurse is probably going to look a little bit better as far as salary goes. So I was very beneficial to graduate nursing school when I did, simply because of my age when I was born. Graduating nursing school helped a lot, and the economy still being bad helped a tremendous amount. And we were able to simply put our money down. It was only 2%. We only had to put our 2% down and buy our house. Phenomenally fortunate for me. However, that's not really helping anyone out today. The benefits that I had even just 10 years ago don't exist anymore. And people who are even my age who did not buy a house 10 years ago are now in a position where they may not ever be able to buy a house. If you don't have the money, you don't have the ability to buy a house. You can't get out from underneath your rent in order to buy a house. Now, the one benefit that I have greatly appreciated to buying my house is the fact that it's much cheaper than rent. I could not rent a single bedroom apartment for what I pay in a mortgage. I just couldn't. And so that is a huge benefit, and it's all simply because of when I bought it, how it hit. Had I waited another 2 years, we wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be in the shape that I'm in right now. Another benefit that sort of impacts me, that isn't as impactful as most, is I have never had a car payment. As I said before, I started working on cars pretty much straight out of high school, and all of the maintenance and repairs and things like that on my vehicles I have done myself, and pay cash for all my cars. My newest vehicle right now is 21 years old. Now, granted, my wife drives a new Highlander and she makes payments on that. I myself have never had to make payments on a car before, and that also has benefited me. The skill that I have to repair my own vehicles has benefited me. So a lot of luck, a lot of things played out into my favor in order for me to buy a house. And these things just don't seem to be happening for younger people today. And you can't even say that it's the younger people's fault. It's just not. It's not at all a younger person's fault. It's just the fact that the economy skyrocketed up in price of everything, and the jobs don't pay what they should, and young people just can't afford a house. I believe I was 29 when we bought this house. So, hope it helps. If you have more questions, I will do my very best to answer them. And I will go ahead and full-heartedly admit I am very lucky when I was born, when I graduated nursing school, how the economy was when I graduated nursing school, simply because nursing was one of those industries that really was not hit by the recession. Hope it helps. Thank you much.